All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the recap. I am Michael D'Angelo, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. And what a week it was in professional wrestling, specifically WWE. A lot to talk about. We will get to it right now, and you can probably hear in our voices, we each have a little bit of a touch of cold flu. I don't know what it is. You're getting a little Barry White baritone right before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, just a little bit. It's a good thing.
So you're
temporarily,
welcome
okay.
just in time for Valentine's Day. Remember, it's coming up. And if you don't get your special someone something, you might wind up in the doghouse. But anyways, enough about love. Let's talk about things that we love. Let's dive right into Monday Night Raw. What were some of the highlights from Raw, Big D?
Well, of course, as in typical Raw fashion, lately leading up to WrestleMania, I think we're going to be seeing more of these promos. Cody Rhodes coming out, giving his promo about his selection and his debate and whatnot. Thinking about it over the weekend because, of course, everything blew up from last Friday's SmackDown. So, I think he was kind of just addressing that. And, of course, Seth Rollins comes out to give his piece, and Drew McIntyre comes out. And what's interesting is that Drew's really trying to come across as really desperate for the title, right? He wants that extra shot. He had a rebuttal for everything. Seth is like, Cody's like, you already lost to this guy. And then Seth tells him, you lost to this guy already. And Drew's like, you've lost to him too. So it doesn't matter. He's like, you guys, like Seth's like, you lost to me. Drew's like, you lost to him. It doesn't matter. Then he's saying, we all know how it's going to end. Family's going to interfere, whatever. So again, kind of leaving that on the unknown side of things there for the most part. And then so after that really hit, the other biggest thing that happened was the number one contendership fatal four-way tag for the New Day, which I thoroughly enjoyed. You almost forget how good the men's tag division is, in Raw and SmackDown. And we'll talk about that later as well. But there was a great match. One of my favorite matches of the night. Everywhere you had, of course, the New Day, Creed Brothers, Imperium, DIY comes out on top. So that's, a given because DIY's had the momentum. They just come short a couple times. So it was good to see. Of course, you kind of saw it coming because Imperium's feuding with New Day. And so that's kind of that's what happened. But again, a lot of good spots there. Tommaso Ciampa and everybody just doing their thing, man. I loved it. They announced that
match of the night was that fatal four-way tag match. And it was funny because last week I said, where are the Creed brothers? And I was like, ask and ye shall receive. The Creed brothers, after being gone for so long, they popped up in the fatal four-way, didn't win. A lot of great spots. If you had a chance to go back and watch this one, definitely match of the night. A couple of weird things that happened. They started with tagging, and then it switched to tornado style.
Yeah, it was a tornado.
And then they weren't really tagging anymore. And then at the end, they switched back to tags because remember, Tommaso tagged to become the legal man, and I was like, people haven't been tagging for the last 20 minutes. So
shoved Johnny Gargano while the ref was counting.
I thought it was great. It was like shoved him off and then hopped on. But I was like, okay, that would make sense if you all were actually using tags the whole time. But great match. It was a lot of fun. And then going back to the opening promo, it's so interesting watching it. So much happened in the last 7 days that it feels like a completely different world when that promo happened versus when we got to SmackDown. And the thing that was completely just bizarre about it and surreal in a way was you've got Drew McIntyre out there being the heel, but everyone's cheering him. Because everything he's saying is absolutely right. He's like, this is ridiculous. You need to finish your story. And he was going on and on and on and he's saying all the heel things, but the crowd was cheering for him the entire time.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And honorable mention is Drew McIntyre's t-shirt was great.
I was pulling it up so I could read it to everybody. It's a hilarious t-shirt, and I think it's probably the most you could tell it was totally put together at the last minute. Drew McIntyre.
Oh yeah, it looked like they literally just got one of those iron-on things and stuck it on a black T-shirt, but it was great.
It's so cool. It's so funny. The little toss to Seth, you're extra small, is in the back, and Seth didn't deny it. He's just like, all right.
Yeah,
it's a great shirt. Just him, just trolling CM Punk.
The other thing too, and this is where I go back to, they were really trying to push hard for the crowd to get behind Seth Rollins, and they did it 2 weeks in a row. And there was a moment where Seth Rollins goes, "The World Heavyweight Championship. This is the most prestigious championship in wrestling," and he got booed. Like, it wasn't even like they were going, and nobody cheered. Like, they flat out booed the heck out of that. Yeah. And I felt terrible for him because I'm like, they told him, go out there and sell. It's like, go out there and sell people on you versus Cody Rhodes. And this is the workhorse championship. This is the real people's championship. And the other one's the Hollywood championship. They told him to do that. And he went out there and did it. And nobody was buying it. Nobody was buying into it. And they were booing the heck out of him. And I'm like, man, this makes Seth look bad. Like, it makes him look like a B-level star.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is because in the beginning, when he first did that promo, the week before he did that promo, he got them over on it in terms of what he was trying to say about it. This was before they were trying to make the decision, right? You know, because the crowd knew, all right, well, yeah, he's pleading his case. We're trying to do this, whatever. And
we like Seth Rollins. And people love Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins is great.
But now the crowd boos because we know it's their way of trying to, like, justify the impending change or the upcoming change that is inevitable, right? And so they were just, like, booing the hell out of him because they knew it was him just trying to reiterate and just, you know, justify their reasoning for it. And at this point in time, all the "We Want Cody" signs were everywhere, and the chants were all throughout. It was
"We Want Cody" or hashtag "We Want Cody" was trending like for 3 days, 3 consecutive days. Like it was full blown. You know,
all of The Rock's Instagram posts were being trolled by fans. That was insane.
This is great.
That was insane. I think he posted like the Moana 2 trailer, and everybody's like, they posted the Moana 2 trailer, and everybody like comments, "We don't care, we want Cody." And I'm like, dang.
It's the most disliked trailer ever. They're like, hey, let's pull those trailers for a minute. Like this isn't real.
Hold on, I agree.
Oh, but anyway, so going back, Elimination Chamber qualifier. I think that's where we're at.
Yes. So we're gonna have elimination qualifiers for the Elimination Chamber match. Don't try to say that fast. For the women's title against the world title. And so we started off with Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. Sorry, my train of thought just flew away there. But yeah, Shayna Baszler and Becky Lynch was a pretty decent match. They focused a lot on submissions. Becky trying to get the disarmer, trying to get arm bars over. You know, Shayna Baszler showing how good she is as a submission. I kind of I hate it when she came out with her black belt on. They're like, "You see that belt? It's black. That's the furthest you can go." And I'm like, we know. We know. You said it.
Well, because Pat McAfee stated the obvious, and which again, and he was again one of the worst things about Raw was with him struggling on commentary and just saying silly fun facts all the time. And I will chalk it up to he's out of practice, and
he is.
Hopefully, he will get better.
He will, but the downside to it is that when he does, and then he starts hitting that rhythm, the NFL season comes around. Then we lose him again. And then we get him back again. Like, you know what I mean? So I like having him because when he's at his point, when he's on point, he's on point. But like right now, he's still trying to catch up. And I mean, he's a busy guy. We know he's not watching the product all the time, but I mean, he's trying to catch up and everything. But yeah, it was just little things like that. I'm just like, damn, dude, like no. But anywho, Becky Lynch gets the victory there with the manhandle slam, which is pretty much just a modified rock bottom. See what they did there.
That's all it was. When it happened, I was like, yeah, it's not much of a finisher. And I'm like, oh well, I guess it's over. It just looks kind of weak. It doesn't look great.
Right, and so she's going to be the first entrant to the Elimination Chamber, which of course she is. And then the SmackDown's going to have a match to determine the next contestant to go in for the Elimination Chamber. After that, we had absolute nonsense. Ivar Valhalla, Akira Tozawa, Maxine Dupree. Could have just done without it altogether. I'm not even going to go into the details.
Worst match of the night.
We all know who won.
This one's a throwaway.
It is what it is. Whatever. But what came after was very interesting, which is why I want to touch on it, is Rhea Ripley just comes storming out, livid, fuming, and demanding she wants Nia. She doesn't care about Elimination Chamber. She doesn't care about anything. She wants Nia. And Nia comes out. GM comes out first. Is trying to tell her to chill out. And Nia comes out. And they had a great brawl. Like, the brawl was just insane. Like, they were going at it. Like, the emotion was into it, you know. And even some of the steals that I've been watching on Instagram and stuff, it's great. This is good heated stuff. But in the back of my mind, I'm saying to myself, where the hell is Jade Cargill?
Yep. Same
We
thing
haven't
for
seen
me.
her.
And this is true on Raw and SmackDown. Other than that, we saw her for 2 seconds on SmackDown, where she was walking into the GM's office. Other than that, we haven't seen her. I was looking for her. I was expecting her to come down.
Yeah.
And like interfere at this point because she basically and I went out in there and squashed Rhea Ripley again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's Jade? Is she going to come down and do something? And I'm like, nope. We even got a Liv Morgan sighting. We got a Liv Morgan sighting on Raw where she was backstage watching on the monitors, which why is that the WWE always does this now where it's like the women watching each other on the monitors thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're like, oh, and all the girls are backstage. Like during the women's tag match, they did the same thing where all the women are backstage watching. And it's like WWE's trying to say, women are nosy. Check this out. They're always watching each other on the monitors.
In any match, there's like, so and so's looking on, and it's always like awkwardly positioned like this, like looking at the screen, like
every
that's like right
single
here.
time.
Yeah, no, it's
like the one trick. The only way they're trying to build feuds is the girls are all watching each other on monitors in the back, and they always do a cutaway, and I can't stand that. But but to your point, we had a Liv Morgan sighting. No Jade. No Jade, nowhere to be seen.
I wonder why.
Hopefully she shows up.
I mean, I haven't heard about her being hurt or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just scheduling right now. Who knows? But I'm hoping we'll get to see more of her soon. I'm hoping she has a qualifier match at least for Elimination Chamber.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, I hadn't heard a qualifier match announced for her yet. Like they announced all the men's matches on SmackDown.
Yeah, they just dropped them.
I have not heard. I haven't heard about her being announced for Elimination Chamber, and I'm hoping that she's going to be a part of that. And they're not just going to have her disappear off of television again. But so far nothing. We got to have like a counter for weeks missing Jade.
Yeah, we should. After that was a great match, actually. Not great, but entertaining match between The Miz, JD McDonough. Just adding more to the R-Truth fiasco. But this one was interesting because he shows up backstage and he's like acting like, yeah, now I'm really, really in, right? Like acting like he got jumped into Judgment Day now.
He got jumped in for real. Yeah.
And so I think Damian Priest was just like, you know what, man? Sure. Whatever. You're a part of this. Whatever you want. Just make yourself at home. So during this match, the reason I bring it up is because R-Truth comes out wearing a construction vest, of all things, pretending to give out T-shirts. Then makes his way to the ring.
Yeah.
And gives JD McDonough his cut. Remember, JD McDonough was complaining because he never got his cut or whatever. So he gives it to him. JD McDonough's like, oh, okay, cool. And then, Miz hits the skull-crushing finale. And, of course, the money flies up in the air when he hits it, which is a nice touch. A little corny, but nice. I enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
But the part
I like my pro wrestling a little corny, so I liked it.
I liked it. I was like, I see what you did. But what was interesting about it is when Miz was leaving on the on-ramp, R-Truth goes up to him and they're side-by-side hugging and he's smiling. Like that was intentional. Yeah. So I'm like, oh.
Well, because I thought that too. I was like, wait a second. Like, and I rewound it and I watched it again because I was like, because the Miz does this and then they both like walk away smiling. And I was like, was this supposed to be a setup or is the Miz just like, hey, I'm happy because this happened and R-Truth is oblivious
I think
to it?
Was,
but he was smiling and hugging him a little too much where I was like, wait a second. Is this where they're going with that now where now he's going to stop the shenanigans? Or is this kind of like letting the audience in on R-Truth knows exactly what he's doing?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's letting us know that Truth knows he's not part of Judgment Day, but now he's going to take advantage of it to try and get to them. Right, so who knows? We'll see how it plays out. I thought that was interesting. Another interesting piece was what was it? How many 100 days of title reign for the Intercontinental Championship?
600. 600
yes,
days.
Thank you. 600 days, and he says he's beat everybody. He doesn't know who else he could possibly have left to fight or whatever. I'll be honest. I thought Braun Breaker was going to come out because that would have been nice.
I did too, actually.
Yeah, I was like, I was thinking because
that would make sense for him.
Yeah, Adam Pearce was like telling him earlier in the night, like, "Oh, this contract, everything that he promised you, he's going to underdeliver. I got you right here. This is what we have promised for you." I thought that was it because I was like, "Oh, he said I got this set up for you already. So the title's being celebrated, and Gunther's giving his spiel, and he has no one else to beat, and he ran through the locker room, and I'm like, oh, new blood. Braun Breaker's here. He's gonna come through and challenge him, but it was Jey Uso, which I'm not mad at.
Yeah.
I'm honestly not mad at, because it's about time. I've been complaining for a long time that he needs to get his singles push, because they've been putting him in tag teams. But then what happens? Next week there's a 6-man tag match between Jey Uso and the New Day and Imperium, and I'm just
Imperium.
like, why?
Gotta stick with the classics, Big D. You just gotta stick with.
I don't like it. Like, let him be his own man. Like, let him do his thing. Excuse me. Let him do his thing. Let him go in and like, he cut a great promo. He had the crowd going. He had Pat McAfee on the table. Like, it was a good view. It was good. It was good. It was good. And then
good segment. And I think, but I was like, don't just turn it into a bunch of tag matches. Maybe they're going to do that to buy some time. And because Gunther's not in that Elimination Chamber thing, so maybe they'll have a singles match for the title of the Elimination Chamber. You never know.
I mean, I would have much rather. If you want to buy time, I would much rather Gunther be like, you know what, beat Vinci first, then we can talk.
Yeah.
And then next week, Jay beats Vinci. Then he's like, all right, beat Kaiser, and then we'll talk. And then he does it. And I know I'm kind of going into like past stuff that's been done before, because then the next one's going to be, all right, handicap match. If you beat these two at the same time, then you can be at my level. That I would be happy with. I really would.
Yeah.
Put him in the tag team again. I mean,
in singles.
But again, is it going to be a terrible match? No. Why? It's the freaking New Day and Jey Uso against Imperium. It's going to be a great match. I mean, I have high expectations for this match, but it was all right. It was a good lead in for Jay, and I hope this pushes him for his singles push, and he gets his he'll take the title. He'll take the title off of Gunther eventually, I think, not because we're tired of Gunther as champion, but because I feel like now he needs to be the next one to go towards the next level, right? So let him go at the heavyweight title or the universal title, whatever comes first, right? I would love to see him and Cody for the universal title. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Oh my god,
I mean, I worry about Gunther though, because I feel like it's getting a little crowded in the main event picture.
It is.
Because they're trying to find stuff for Drew McIntyre to do. They're trying to find stuff for CM Punk when he's healthy, when he comes back. Yeah. So they of course, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, now The Rock. They're putting all of these folks out there. That doesn't leave a lot of room for Gunther, who I feel like is overdue to make one of the bigger world title runs and be a main event player. But there's a lot of competition up there for space. So we'll see.
Speaking of competition or lack thereof, we had the Kabuki Warriors giving Katana Chance and Kaden Carter their rematch for the titles. Of course, Kabuki Warriors win because, of course, they do. Of course. There's no way I would say. I mean, I'm happy with that result. Like, that's what should happen, But that's after that, you had the main event, which I had mentioned it before. They had been doing this at house shows. It's the bull rope match between Cody and Shinsuke, and it was a pretty decent match, pretty good match. I was happy with it. Good match. Of course, it ends. Cody gets the win after taking the mist and everything, and he still comes through because why? Cody always comes through, right? But then afterwards, here comes Drew McIntyre to just beat the holy hell out of him. And of course, Sami Zayn for the save. And then Raw comes loose.
There you go. It was a good show. I mean, I think so. I'll say it was good, but then it felt like most of the things that happened didn't end up mattering.
I'm about to say, like, once you got I didn't bother grading this show because it didn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. At the end of the day, because as you all know, they had the WrestleMania press conference that came up on Thursday. Well, the press event. It's not really a press conference. The WrestleMania press event.
Yeah, it was a press event.
And that's kickoff. Where I think it was the kickoff. There you go. And it was the kind of the reaction now to all the fallout from the hashtag We Want Cody and all the backlash. And the fact that the crowd was not getting behind anything Seth Rollins was saying, not getting behind Cody Rhodes competing for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
And very wisely, at least from my perspective, because some fans are saying this has been a work the whole time. This was always the plan. I don't believe that for a second.
No.
I do not believe I think they really thought The Rock was going to come in and he's going to save everything and people are going to accept Cody versus Seth and they want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns because they cheered him when he was in San Diego talking about, do I sit at a booth? Do I sit at a table? Do I sit on a chair? Do I sit at the head of the table? He does that whole silly thing and everyone cheered.
Right.
So I think people really thought, they were like, this is a good idea. And then it blew up. But then they said, hey, let's steer into it. Let's give the fans what they want. And we saw like the full heel turn from The Rock where he came out and showed the diagram of the bloodline. And then Cody Rhodes came out and basically was like, this is BS. I choose you, Roman Reigns. And then, talked about if, your grandfather, Peter Maivia, could see you right now, he'd be ashamed. And The Rock was like, hey, don't talk about his family is my family, his blood's my blood. Slap Cody, Seth Rollins, and them were all like arguing back and forth. SmackDown, this way I felt like a completely different week. It felt like months removed.
Yeah.
Because SmackDown was Triple H starting off and walking down with the GMs basically reaffirming and saying Cody is going to be competing against Roman Reigns. Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Before you get there.
No, go ahead.
I did want to make a couple notes about some things here. So, the crowd was not having any of what The Rock was saying when he brought up the family tree. Now, yes, I agree. I felt that Roman versus Rock would be inevitable because two biggest stars out of that, well, not biggest stars, arguably two biggest stars out of that family tree are good to go, really, to wrestle each other. But I've always said, I know you and I said, not for the title, right? We said, let him fight him at Mania or SummerSlam after he drops to Cody, because I've always said the only person that should take that title off of Roman is Cody. That's the only one that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't make Rock make sense. I love The Rock. I am huge Rock fan. Dwayne Johnson, both sides, everything. I love The Rock. He's amazing. He's awesome.
Great.
However, he's not the one that should be taking the title off of Roman. Now, one thing I wanted to make note of, I don't know if they did this on purpose, thinking we wouldn't notice, but when they had the family tree up, under Rock, it said Dwayne Rock Johnson, it has High Chief for The Rock. So,
really,
theoretically, that would make him the head of the table in hierarchy order.
Yeah.
Because he's above Roman as a high chief. He's a high chief. And I've looked into it, and it says, I think one of the times he went back to Samoa, he was, crowned as a high chief, officially a high chief of the Anoa'i family. So he is the head of the table, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So you have something there that you can build on to do Rock versus Roman, but not for the title. Do it for whoever's head of the table, who leads the family, whatever, right? He did it with Jay when they had the head of the table thing. Do it for them, let them challenge you to tribal combat, whatever they call it. I think it was tribal combat, right? That's what they should have done with it. Too. And I agree with you. I think it backfired horrendously because they thought to themselves, well, Punk's out. Let's just reverse it. Let's put Cody against Seth. They'll tear the house down. They will. Honestly, Cody and Seth would be a great match regardless.
Yeah.
And then let's just do Rock and Roman. Problem with that is you're doing it at Mania and you're not giving Cody the choice because he earned that choice. And Roman was even like, I get to choose. I choose The Rock or whatever. And I'm like, you don't get a choice. It's the winner of the Royal Rumble's choice. Now, there was some banter. Seth Rollins, I felt, was just there just to be there, just for banter.
Yeah. Because he was there just to kind of back up Cody.
Yeah, he was like, oh, look who finally showed up to work. But then Roman gets him right back, like, yeah, you came into work in your wife's shoes. And I was like, yeah, he got you there, dude. I can't defend you with that aspect. But yeah. But anyway, just little things like that I noticed. And then at the end, we got full-on heel Rock at the end when they cut to the backstage when they're interviewing Triple H. And all the bleeping out because of they're on network, right? Whatever. But Rock pretty much cussing out Triple H, and he had said something, and I'm trying to get down the exact words. He's put, like you're lucky something's here or whatever. He said, you're lucky I'm here or whatever. And Triple H is like, no, you're lucky you're here. I'm like, oh, Triple H isn't taking it, right? And even the look that Triple H gave The Rock, I was like, you know what? Maybe we have Roman with The Rock in his corner because they're family, and we'll have Cody with Triple H in his corner.
And Triple H in the corner. That would be
That
great.
would be interesting.
I don't know if it'll happen,
I doubt
but
it. But you never know. So anyway, sorry.
I doubt it. It'd be cool
SmackDown.
though. No, you're good. You're good. No, and it's all great context because that was like the lead in to SmackDown. Also, was then backstage where he's like, The Rock was like, "Hey, this is your job. Do your job and clean this up." To like Triple H, and Triple H was kind of like, obviously, like you mentioned, he's not taking it. And then it opened with Triple H in the ring to kind of reaffirm. And it was funny because he did the whole, some people around here don't know their role, because he's like quoting the Rock, so know your role and shut your mouth thing. And he goes, and basically said that, it was going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And then he, talked about it doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable with it. If you're uncomfortable with this backstage, it doesn't matter if you're uncomfortable with it. Which is a nice touch as well. So it's like he's going to be, hard and fast on this, and he's not going to bow down to them. And then later in the night, they had Paul Heyman come up and kind of threaten Triple H, where he's like, next week I'll be here with Roman Reigns and The Rock. Forward to it. So he's not backing down on it. But then they also took the chance to say, okay, what are we doing with Seth Rollins? So now we're pivoting to the winner of the Elimination Chamber for the men's Elimination Chamber will go on to face Seth Rollins. And you could tell this really was like a cleanup thing that they hadn't planned.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they just announced, we've got all the people that are in the qualifiers across the board. Everybody's here, and we're starting right now. First match is a qualifying match: Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles, and then just went right into it. And the whole show, I will say, for me, this was probably the best SmackDown I've seen in a long time because it was so wrestling centric.
Yes,
and I was like, it's just like qualifiers. And every single match meant something. It was all Thrilla, no filler, or no filler, all Thrilla, no filler. It was so good because every single match was meaningful. Every single match was playing into the storyline. They had to do a hard pivot. And I even said at the time where when I saw the lineup, and I was like, Logan Paul's going to be in this tournament? Wait a minute. Yeah. Logan Paul last week was talking about, give me a worthy challenger for my title, and now he's in the tournament. And they addressed that later, and Logan Paul was like, I told you guys this, and you put me in this tournament? And he's like, they're trying to like, hey, let's tie this up really quickly. Right. And he was like, I got to qualify. What, I'm a qualifier? I'm already qualified. I'm a champion. And then he kind of did this roundabout talking where he was like, you know what? Hey, then I'll be a double champion, and great. But it was a way to just like, hey, let's tie that loose end up. Right. And get him into the tournament. First match, though, I was surprised it was Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles. So I was like, wait, one of these two is not going to be in there? Yeah. Because I was like, I thought I would feel like both of those two would make the cut.
I agree.
And I was like, how are they going to explain this? Well, essentially, LA Knight comes out and gets ringside, provides distractions, during the matchup where AJ Styles had Drew McIntyre rolled up and distracted the referee. While he was distracted, AJ goes up and then turns around, takes a Claymore to the face. Drew McIntyre wins, and he advances in the tournament. I can only assume that this means that LA Knight will get his match sabotaged by AJ Styles next, because I think they're competing next week. So that's the only thing that means to me, is that LA Knight's not going to be in the Elimination Chamber either, and that AJ is going to return the favor, and maybe they'll have a singles match against each other at Elimination Chamber.
Which would be nice.
As of now, it would be very nice. But as of now, Drew McIntyre ended up advancing, and it was a great opening match. And I thought, oh, this is going to be match of the night. It wasn't match of the night for me. Match of the night was actually the British Strong Style, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate defeating DIY in the tournament, which was just awesome. That happened a little bit later. I'll touch on that one now, though, because it was so good. It lived up to DIY is obviously great. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are great. Or is it Pete Dunne? Because that was the other thing that I like my wrestling silly and stupid. So when I saw the video package of Pretty Deadly, where they were like, who's this? look at my hand. And he holds up in his hands all twisted up. He's like, oh. And then he's like, that Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne. And they're yelling. And I was like, this is so dumb, but in just the most awesome way. It was so much fun. And I was like, I like my wrestling to be stupid. So honorable mention goes to the Pretty Deadly vignette. Was hysterical. But this match was great. Best moment in this match for me was when Tyler Bate essentially did a airplane spin and big swing with both members of DIY at the same time. I know they talk about he's a strong guy, and he's a strong dude. Even though when he was doing the rotation, he wasn't going that fast. So I'm like, that's still impressive. You're airplane spinning and doing a big swing
the core
with
strength
both
and
members of the tag
balance
team at the same time.
God. Yeah.
It was ridiculous. So this was absolutely match of the night. Very deservingly, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate win. Johnny Gargano actually got busted his nose at the end.
Yeah, busted open.
So he got busted open pretty bad, and I couldn't tell if it was on the finish or if it was right before, because he kind of he pancaked his face on like the last two moves, and then he popped up and he was bleeding. So hopefully he's okay. It's nothing serious, but. Yeah. But they will advance to face Judgment Day, which was for me was the right call because we already saw DIY versus Judgment Day. I'm really hoping that they pull the trigger on this and
Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate as champions. Hell yeah.
I hope so.
I agree with you. Match of the night on this one was amazing. I mean, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate. I was a huge fan of them, even when they were Mustache Mountain with, Trent Seven up in NXT UK. And if y'all don't know who that is, look it up on Peacock or whatever. Yeah. You're welcome, WWE. Mustache Mountain. Oh, yes. So again, huge fan of this match. I think it's great. I'm glad Pete Dunne's getting the push that he deserves. I feel like they didn't know what to do with him for a while, and because his style didn't really match what Vince's vision of a pro wrestler should be. Right? Vince likes these big, meaty guys, and he likes just the basics. Pick up, slam, big move, finish match, whatever. But Pete Dunne wrestles very differently. That's why he's called the Bruiserweight. Very methodical in how he approaches an opponent. Very, very brutal, And then you have, again, the reason why I love Tyler Bate so much, you talk about we like the silliness, the corniness, and like our wrestling. For God's sakes, he does the airplane spin. And he
does
stops halfway, stuff, does a squat, gets back up and spins the other way. And I'm like, my favorite is when he's like, oh, what's that? And then pops him again with the other hand. Like, I'm like just, simple stuff that he does. I'm like, it's awesome, And so I'm happy to see that here in WWE. I'm glad Triple H is on board with it. I'm really hoping it is, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, winning the titles. That would be great to see. Very well deserved by both men. I think Pete Dunne's put in his time. He had to be Butch for God knows how long in the Brawling Brutes and never really did anything. He just played like a feral character, but he's done his thing. I feel he deserves it, and I hope he does get it because that would be amazing.
I hope so. Pete Dunne. I'm sure. I'm sure they deserve it. They look great, and you know what? One thing I really appreciated about this match too is I love DIY, and they kind of played into the DIYs scouted them out a little bit because like the last couple of matches when Tyler Bate would start where he would kind of grab them and he grabs his foot and he pulls it up and hits him with the heel of his foot in the face and he hits him with his own foot. And the last two matches he opened up exactly the same way, did the same maneuver. And this one, I think it was him against Gargano when they started, and Gargano immediately like countered out of it. And I was like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. They showed that they're actually paying attention to each other and they're actually scouting each other out. So great match. Go back and watch it. Match of the night if you haven't seen it. Also, after that, we had Bianca Belair versus Michin. So women's qualifier for Elimination Chamber. Bianca Belair obviously won, hit the KOD to qualify. Good match. Like all the matches were solid. They were all pretty solid.
Yeah, they were a good match. I mean, Michin's a good wrestler. I mean, I think people underestimate her because they don't really see her too much. But she is a great performer. I think she does awesome, and it was a good contrast in styles. And but at the end of the day, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be Bianca Belair.
Yeah, you knew Bianca.
She has
Belair
a reality show. She's been doing all the press. She's on the cover of the. I wouldn't be surprised if Bianca Belair wins the title. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and this one was pretty obvious. Like at least in the opener, I was like, who's going to go? Is it going to be Drew McIntyre or who's going to be AJ Styles?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine one of these two not being in there. This one was coming up. You're like, Bianca Belair's obviously not going to get upset by Michin. What else happened? Gosh, we had. I'm trying to think. A lot of teasers for the other matches too. So Dominic Mysterio and Kevin Owens are going to have a qualifier. Logan Paul talked about he's going to have his qualifier with The Miz.
Right. So like the people that are in the qualifying matches are Randy Orton, Logan Paul, Bobby Lashley, LA Knight, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Ivar, Kevin Owens, Dominic, or should I say Dominic Mysterio, Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre, and Ricochet. So all of them will be competing. Yeah. That's pretty much who we have there in set. But one thing that we did have happen was something interesting. Dakota Kai finally appeared during the promo, and
yeah, she appeared and was like, "Hey, sorry, I was at the doctor last week.
I had a doctor's appointment.
I had a doctor's appointment. You know, I've been trying to get back. Hey, I heard you got kicked out of Damage Control." And I'm like,
"What happened?" Like, she didn't watch TV.
You didn't call her. Well, I was also like, it's been a week. You didn't like pick up the phone, Dakota Kai? Come on now. So this one I was kind of half expecting a betrayal here, and I still kind of do.
It almost happened, and I think it's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. Where she had like the chair and she was going to hit her, but then she cleared the ring when obviously you had Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Asuka all come down to try to take out Bayley. And it was like kind of like, hey, I'm going to help you out here. I half expected a few, like, during the actual title match, Dakota Kai is going to be like, I was with them all along, and then turn on her. But jury's still out. But yeah, that as of now, Dakota Kai sided with Bayley.
Well, see, and I thought, because if you look at when she gets the chair, she leaves the ring when Damage Control gets up, and then you have her come back in, and she's holding the chair, and the look on her face, like she was eyeing Bayley, like she was about to hit her. And then Bayley catches her. She and then she runs and starts going at Damage Control. But I'm with you. I think it's all just like a fake scenario, and that she's gonna turn on Bayley as well, and she'll be the new leader of Damage Control.
I think so too. But we'll see. We'll see how this one ends up playing out. We had a Bobby Lashley Street Profits promo, and BFAB also cutting a promo on the Final Testament, so they're continuing to argue with each other back and forth. And then main event was, I'm like, what other matches am I missing?
Randy Orton,
Sami Zayn. There weren't that many matches. Yeah, I was main event was Randy Orton, Sami Zayn. So I'm like, that was the main event. Yeah. And that was it. So I was like, yeah, there weren't that many matches. It was a fast 2 hours. Wasn't a ton of matches. They were all good. They were all very, very good. Main event, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn. You kind of knew that obviously Sami Zayn wasn't going to beat Randy Orton either. No. This one was kind of a short match because they started the walkout with 15 minutes left.
Yeah. I think it was like a 10-minute match.
And that's when and then they had a commercial break in it too, which I was like, really? When I saw the clock, I was like, oh, we're actually going to get the last 15 minutes as this match, and then we're not going to have an interruption. And then they had a commercial interruption. And I was like, oh, what was I thinking? They were going to actually let us watch. So we got a commercial interruption. Of course, Randy Orton advanced, and he ended up winning. He faced off with Drew McIntyre, I think, at the end. Also,
yeah, they had a stare down because Drew comes out in his new T-shirt. Yeah, and they just stare each other down.
And they just stared down, and then that was it. Like, it was very, very quick. So Randy Orton obviously ends up advancing in the Elimination Chamber, which we knew that he would. But I will say they need to rename Sami Zayn Main Event Sami Zayn, because now it's been like out of the last 3 weeks, he's main evented twice. Okay, he main evented against Drew McIntyre and on Raw, and then he main evented against Randy Orton. I was like, really? Sami Zayn's in the main event like 2 out of the last 3 weeks? That's pretty wild.
I mean, they like him. I like Sami Zayn, right? Actually, I like Sami Zayn.
I do. I like Sami Zayn.
I think he's good. Like you said, unfortunately, the main event picture is so crowded right now with people. It's very difficult to say, like, oh yeah, plug this person, plug that. I would love to see Gunther in that mix, but you're right. It's going to be tough. But I think all in all, I think this whole switch out that they did was for the best because I
Yeah.
mean, you heard the chants, the boos, everyone. Like, even Rock isn't there, and they're chanting "Rocky sucks," and it's it's thunderous to where, I mean, the good thing to it, I guess, silver lining, you brought out the heel version of the Rock, which is always a good version. Heel version,
Yeah,
heel Rock's always
it did.
great, so that was awesome. But
Well, and I appreciate that they steered into it. Like old WWE would have just said, "No, this is it. You know, you're gonna love it no matter what. Trust us on it." And they would have. It was like the Daniel Bryan kind of stringing him along. The yes movement had finally get him over, but it took forever.
yeah,
Like this time, at least it was the presence of mind to say, "Okay, this really didn't work." And by the way, no, WWE did not plan this the whole time.
No,
Do not give them credit. Like all I ever hear is, "Hey, everybody, this is a work, man. Man, they it worked like a charm." And I'm like, "No, don't."
no,
These are the same people that did the Katie Vick storyline and thought that was a good idea. So keep in mind, everybody, that when you start thinking that WWE's got it all figured out, sometimes they throw out duds. This is one of the times that they threw out a dud, thinking that, oh, it's The Rock. Everyone loves The Rock. This is going to be great. This will save the whole CM Punk thing. They were very short-sighted with it. But I think this is a testament to the fact that Triple H is now running things. And Vince McMahon really is not running anything anymore, obviously, with what's going on with him. Legally, he's out of the picture. So Triple H is smart enough to go, hey, let me do what's good for business. Let me listen to what the fans want. I'm going to be more of a people pleaser on this one. I'm going to do something that makes a little bit more sense than what we were trying to do with The Rock. And I think it was brilliant. And it showed a lot of courage to change everything that quickly.
it did.
But no, it wasn't all pre-planned. That was not
but
the
you know what?
original intention.
To give credit where credit's due, this was not pre-planned, and they did pivot rather hard to get it fixed, and I'm glad they did, right? But they're probably thinking to themselves, well, we have Rock who's willing to be at WrestleMania. Triple H is probably like, I feel pretty good right now. So I think they're kind of turning lemons to lemonade here. And I feel in one way or another, Rock will be involved in Mania, and so will Triple H.
He will.
Whether it's at the corners of each respective person, or if it's an actual match. Which I know Triple H said he'd never wrestle again, but you know what they say in professional wrestling, never say never.
Yep. Never
I
say
wouldn't
never.
mind a Rock Triple H match. It's been done. It wouldn't be anything crazy, but at the same time, it would be kind of cool. Something to do with The Rock. But I think the better option at this point, Rock obviously joined the Bloodline because they walked out together. They're there together. But I think what you do now is it's kind of like a Nation of Domination 2.0. Rock's joining in, and eventually he's going to dethrone Roman. So either it's in for the long haul, or it's going to be something that he's just going to show up at Mania in the corner, and that's it. I don't know. Either way, Cody's going to win that title at Mania. I think if they don't, Philly's going to riot. They're in Philly. They need to remember that. I think that's what also helped to make the decision. They're in Philadelphia for WrestleMania. That crowd is vicious, and they will. I mean, God knows what they would do if the wrong outcome happens. But
okay, so you know what they should do. Okay, so here I'm going on record. It's for Michael D'Angelo's official prediction. So when he gets to WrestleMania, they should do is say The Rock is going to be special guest referee, and then it turns into, well, this is ridiculous. The Rock is the special guest referee. There's no way that Cody Rhodes has a chance of winning, because it's The Rock and Roman Reigns will be working together the whole time. And it'll be Cody fighting through adversity the whole time. And then at some point, Cody's going to be like, hey, you know what? I know you're all about family, but I've got family too. And then Gold Dust music hits for one night only.
That'll be Dusty Rhodes. I mean, Dustin Rhodes music. I don't think he
Dustin Runnels.
The
And
natural.
it comes down. The old Gold Dust music hits, and he comes out one night only in the full Gold Dust garb and helps Cody win the title. That would be great. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it won't. But boy, wouldn't it? Just think about it, WWE. Think about it for a second. Make this one.
I mean, he
happen.
already brought his
family
dog.
versus family.
Here he brought his dogs.
Yeah,
That's good.
might as well. I'm just saying. We're halfway there. Oh, but man, yeah, it was a heck of a week. I guess what can
It
we
was.
expect? Obviously, we can expect elimination chamber matches coming up. What can we expect on Raw?
I mean, more contenders matches.
More
I think.
shenanigans.
Yeah, I think more probably Drew complaining about how he has to compete in this gauntlet now or the elimination chamber match to get his shot at Seth, where he probably because he feels entitled right now. So we'll probably get something like that. I'll probably get another Cody promo, and yeah, I think for the most part,
Well, because they're holding the Rock and Roman Reigns till SmackDown. Like at least that's what
Yeah.
they teased was that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you won't see them on Monday night.
yeah, or we're going to
Obviously,
see
they're
Jay
probably
and-
going to have a Cody promo.
yeah, we'll see the 6-man tag match, which should be entertaining, and then more fallout from Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax, and who knows? We'll see if we get a sighting from Jade Cargill.
Let's hope so. I'm wondering what's going on at this point.
Yeah, it's
We had to wait long enough to get her at the Rumble. Liked what I saw, but I want to see more.
True.
But that was it. On an eventful week, what did you all think about it? Obviously, I'm sure you all got plenty of opinions, so please do share them. Please leave them in the comment section as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And that's another week in the books. We'll see if next week is as eventful, maybe even more. You never know. Pro wrestling is the gift that keeps on giving, so you never
sure
know.
is.
Happy Valentine's Day. That's coming up next week as well. So again, make sure you send flowers or you'll be in the doghouse. And until next time, have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.